2 years ago, President William Ruto stood before thousands of residents in Kanduyi, Bungoma County and painted a vision of a world-class sports facility. Masinde Muliro Stadium, he said, will be transformed into an international arena. So ambitious was the promise that the president even suggested English football giants Arsenal and Manchester United could one day grace its turf. The crowd cheered, but some listened with caution, at least those who've heard grand promises before. And 2 years later, their skepticism was well placed, because where a modern stadium was promised, there now stands a project overgrown, neglected and forgotten. And TV's Julius Juma visited the facility and filed this report.
Wimbo wa taifa na wimbo wa Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki.
June 2024, Madaraka Day celebrations had brought the nation's attention to Bungoma, and the Masinde Muliro Stadium in Kanduyi had already consumed nearly 790 million shillings in renovations to host the event. And standing before a jubilant crowd, President William Ruto offered what sounded like a glimpse into an even brighter future.
So kamilisha stadium yenu, tutajenga vizuri to the highest standard possible. Ili sasa mtakuwa na international stadium hapa. Mechi ile inachezewa any part, ile ya Arsenal ama Manchester United wanaweza kuja kucheza hapa.
The president was not done with the crowd hanging on to every word. He unleashed yet another promise.
Mambo ya airport vile vile tumekubaliana. Si mnajua ilikuwa airstrip. Sasa tumekubaliana tutawacha isikue airstrip, sasa tutajenga ikue airport.
And as if to remove any lingering doubt, the president assured residents that the contractor will not leave the site until the facility matched international standards. He even teased National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula, a well-known Arsenal supporter, that he would one day watch his beloved club play right here in Kanduyi.
Contractor haondoki hapo mpaka ikamilike. Ninasikia speaker ni fan wa Arsenal.
The president spoke, then left. The speeches ended and the crowds dispersed. The momentum gradually fizzled out and the stadium fell silent until March last year, when Sports Cabinet Secretary Salim Mvurya resurfaced with fresh assurances that work was progressing.
Mnaelewa pia hapa Bungoma kuna ushirikiano mzuri wa county na serikali ya kitaifa ambayo tunajenga hapa Masinde Muliro na inakamilika, na hata leo tumeweza kuleta viti 10,000 ili iweze kuwekwa hapo na watu waendelee kuboresha talanta zao.
10,000 seats were delivered. The promises remained. The construction, however, appeared to move at a different pace. 1 month later, members of the National Assembly Sports Committee toured the facility and issued what sounded like an ultimatum.
The completion is actually, they have given us May. And we are saying they must deliver. If nothing happens by that time, then you can be sure we will be here again to make sure that whoever gave us the timelines and did not deliver, action is taken.
Then came May 2025, the expected month of completion. Something familiar happened. Deadlines kept shifting. The assurances kept coming, but the stadium remained unfinished. Bungoma Governor Ken Lusaka expressed frustration, warning that the delays were denying young people opportunities to develop their talents.
Governor wa Jimbo la Bungoma.
5 months later, that is October 2025, Sports Principal Secretary Elijah Mwangi arrived for another inspection. He gloated that the project was 94% complete and requested 1 more month to get the job done completely. Just 1 more month. He was flanked by host governor Ken Lusaka.
It has been slow, but now we are sure that we are at the tail end of completion of this project. Like you have been told, we've been given approximately 1 month to be able to clear.
Within the next 1 month, it shall be done.
1 month, they promised. That was, however, 8 months ago. And so, NTV traveled to Kanduyi to find out what exactly had been completed. we stepped inside the facility, and what we found raised more questions than answers. For a project that has consumed hundreds of millions of taxpayers' money, the first impression is startling. The excavators here are idle and begging for work. The stadium is not buzzing with athletes. It is not hosting matches. It is not even under active construction. Instead, visitors are welcomed by grass so tall it rises above the knees. In some sections, it stretches well over a meter high, a far cry from FIFA's recommended playing surface, where grass is expected to measure between 25 and 35 millimeters to guarantee both player safety and proper ball movement. But according to the authorities, 8 months ago, the stadium was 94% complete and just needed a month to get the icing on the cake. So we ask, how long is 1 month?
The pitch, it doesn't look good either. And the most important thing about the stadiums is that the pitch must be to the international standards for it to be useful.
Maeneo haya ni kama mahame. Jinsi umeona uwanja nyasi imemea, nyasi imepita magoti. Kuna mchwa hapo kwenye uwanja.
And what is so sad about Western is that the person who chairs the National Assembly as speaker comes from here, and he looks at the budget every year and he sees the staffing for that stadium. And when the president comes to Western and says, I'm going to construct the stadium, they're the ones who tell people that you can see the president constructing a stadium here. Using what resources? If the money is not on the budget, you've not seen it on the budget yourself. The person may talk about it.
The neglect is difficult to miss or dismiss. Cracks have begun to emerge on some structures. Drainage lines have disappeared beneath weeds, and construction equipment lies abandoned. And in places where elite athletes were expected to compete, thorn bushes have taken over.
Kuta zinabomoka, jinsi unatazama hapa, imepanda mpaka juu. Hata hiyo pila, huo mnara pale, umepasuka katikati. Ukiingia upande wa VIP, kuta zote pande mbili, unaona mianya katika ukuta, na inaashiria kwamba kuna shida ama dosari.
Asanteni kwa heshima, naomba sote tusimame.
President William Ruto promised to improve this stadium to international standards. The head of state publicly stated his vision to improve this facility so much that top English Premier League clubs, specifically mentioning Arsenal and Manchester United, could come and play here. But 2 years on, that remains on paper. For many residents, the frustration is no longer about delayed promises. It is about lost opportunities. Young athletes who had hoped for a modern facility now find themselves without a proper training ground. Some have stopped waiting altogether. They simply want access to whatever is available, even in its current state.
Kwa vile hii stadium peke yake ndio tunaangalia upande zote, hatuna uwanja zingine. Hapa Kanduyi tuko na vijana wako na talent mingi zaidi na hawana mahali pa kufanyia mazoezi. Tunaomba tafadhali waturuhusu tufanyie uwanja, kwa sababu Kanduyi imekuwa mtaa wa miadarati, zimeongezeka sana kwa vijana wetu youth, ni wako na talent.
Sisi kama footballers hatuna mahali pa kutrainia, na hiyo uwanja iko hivi. Sisi tulikuwa tunaomba hata siku 2 ama 3 kwa wiki. Tunaomba utupatie uko unasaidia, tunafanyia hapa mazoezi, tunafanya tu mazoezi Saturday Sunday, tukicheza tukicheza na chezea hapa game, mavijana wakuwe busy. Juu pia off late pia mmeona rate ya miadarati pia imekuwa juu sana. Ndio vijana wetu wengi wanapotea.
But while residents plead for access, political leaders continue to question how the project was conceived, funded and managed in the first place.
So we have to have structured development. Sio tu naamka siku moja sema nakuja kuleta kitu hapa kwa budget hakuna. Then you make too many processes that cannot even fulfill. So what you do is that if he comes today, he'll forget that he already made that promise. Atakuja kusema now set aside 1 billion for the Masinde Muliro Stadium. Atasema tena.
And therein lies the question hanging over Masinde Muliro Stadium. Was this a carefully planned national project, or yet another roadside political promise made easier than its fulfillment? Because while leaders have come and gone, the stadium itself appears trapped in a cycle of perpetual completion, always nearing the finish line, yet somehow never crossing it.
Hata kama bado tunangoja serikali ilete pesa.
In 2018, English club Hull City travelled to Kenya and faced Gor Mahia before a packed Kasarani Stadium. The atmosphere was electric. The crowd stood up, and for a moment, local fans witnessed international football on home soil. So, when President William Ruto told residents of Kanduyi that Arsenal and Manchester United could one day play here, let me believe, many believed him.
Watu wa Bungoma, wacha mimi nichukue nafasi hii niwashukuru tena, niwaambie asante sana kwa kutukaribisha hapa Bungoma.
They imagined their county becoming a destination for elite sport. Today, however, those dreams remain buried beneath overgrown pitch, unfinished structures, and unanswered questions. As we pack up our cameras and prepare to leave Masinde Muliro Stadium, one thing becomes clear. The people of Kanduyi are not asking for miracles. They are simply asking for promises made to be promises kept. And perhaps, somewhere in that hope, they still believe that one day they will witness Andre Onana battle it out with Bukayo Saka in Kanduyi. Maybe then Speaker Moses Wetangula will finally get to see his beloved Arsenal play in Bungoma. Just maybe.
Waende waone stadium ya kule Bungoma kamilika.
Julius Juma, NTV at the Masinde Muliro Stadium in Bungoma.
Excellent reporting there by Julius Juma. That report bringing us to another break on the